She was called the People's Princess, a woman who redefined royalty, loved by millions, feared by some. And then, she was gone. On the night of August 31st, 1997, in the Pont d'Alma tunnel in Paris, Princess Diana died in a car crash. The official story spread fast. Speeding driver, paparazzi chase, no seatbelt, a tragic accident. But for many, something didn't add up. Why did the ambulance take over 90 minutes to get her to a hospital just a few miles away? Why were none of the surveillance cameras in the tunnel working that night? And why did Diana write a letter just months before her death saying, "My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure and serious head injury"? Was this just paranoia? Or was it a warning? Let's go back to the final day of Diana's life, August 30th, 1997. Paris. Diana arrived in Paris with Dodi Al-Fayed, her companion and rumored fiancé. They were staying at the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, a billionaire businessman. The paparazzi had followed them for days, snapping photos at every move. They couldn't leave the hotel without being swarmed. That evening, the couple decided to escape. They'd dine at a private apartment owned by the Al-Fayed family, then return to Dodi's home away from the cameras. But they never made it. The escape plan. To throw off the press, they used a decoy vehicle at the front of the hotel. Meanwhile, Diana and Dodi slipped out the back, entering a black Mercedes-Benz S280, driven by Henri Paul, the hotel's deputy head of security. Also in the car, Trevor Rees-Jones, Dodi's bodyguard. He was the only one wearing a seatbelt, and he would become the sole survivor. The car sped off into the Paris night, followed closely by a swarm of paparazzi on motorcycles. At 12:23 a.m., the car entered the Pont d'Alma tunnel. Seconds later, it crashed. The impact was brutal. The car slammed into the 13th pillar of the tunnel at high speed. The front was crushed. The scene catastrophic. Dodi and Henri Paul were killed instantly. Diana was still alive but critically injured. She would die hours later in the hospital. News of Diana's accident spread like wildfire. And when her death was confirmed, the world broke down. People flooded the streets. Flowers were stacked outside Buckingham Palace. Grown men wept on television. It felt like a queen had died, but one who was never officially crowned. Yet even as millions grieved, a different conversation began. What really happened in that tunnel? Let's start with the ambulance. The crash occurred at 12:23 a.m. Emergency responders arrived around 12:30 a.m. But Diana didn't reach the hospital until 2:06 a.m. That's more than an hour and a half for a drive that should have taken less than 10 minutes. French authorities said her injuries were so delicate, they needed to stabilize her at the scene. But some experts disagreed. They argued that in trauma cases like this, load and go is the standard. Get the patient to the hospital fast. Why the delay? And then there's the issue of the missing CCTV footage. The Pont d'Alma tunnel had multiple traffic cameras, but officials claimed that none of them recorded the crash. Why? Were the cameras really off? Or was something withheld? The letter that changed everything. In October 2003, the Daily Mirror published a handwritten letter. It was from Diana, dated October 1996, less than a year before her death. In it, she wrote, "This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure and serious head injury." That letter was given to her former butler, Paul Burrell, who kept it for years. When asked why she wrote it, friends say Diana had become increasingly suspicious of the people around her. She had divorced Prince Charles. She was outspoken, independent, dating a Muslim man, and she had talked openly about landmines, poverty, HIV, and the failures of the royal family. Some believe she had become a threat. The conspiracies begin. Over the years, multiple theories have emerged. 1. The royal plot. that Diana's death was orchestrated by the royal family or intelligence services to protect the monarchy, to avoid scandal, to silence her. 2. The pregnancy theory, that Diana was pregnant with Dodi al-Fayed's child, and that a Muslim child in the line of royal succession was unacceptable. 3. MI6 involvement. Former intelligence officers have claimed that the method used in Diana's crash closely resembles techniques used in targeted assassinations. A bright light, high speed, tunnel, no escape. Are these theories far-fetched? Maybe, but they refuse to disappear. Even Mohammed al-Fayed, Dodi's father, spent years demanding a full inquiry. He believed his son and Diana were murdered. He never accepted the official explanation. In 2004, the British government launched an official investigation. It was called Operation Paget, led by the Metropolitan Police. The goal? To explore all conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's death. The investigation took 3 years. It reviewed thousands of pages of evidence, interviewed hundreds of witnesses, and cost over £10 million. In the end, the conclusion was clear. No foul play. Just a tragic accident. The driver, Henri Paul, was found to be intoxicated, driving at over 100 kilometers per hour. Neither Diana nor Dodi wore seatbelts. And the paparazzi played a devastating role. But even with that conclusion, many weren't satisfied, because too much still didn't make sense. Why was Henri Paul, an experienced security officer, driving at such a reckless speed? Why did he have high levels of carbon monoxide in his blood? Why didn't the royal family react faster? Why did they remain so quiet? And why did Diana seem to know something was coming? A woman who knew too much? In her final interviews, Diana spoke of being isolated, cut off, targeted. She said, "There are people in this establishment who don't like me. They see me as a threat." She had left the royal family. But she hadn't gone quietly. She had the world's attention, and she was using it to speak about injustice, to criticize tradition, to shape her own legacy. And maybe that was too much for some to tolerate. A legacy that refuses to die. Today, more than 2 decades later, Diana remains one of the most beloved figures in modern history. Her face still appears on murals, magazines, and memorials. Her story has inspired films, documentaries, and books. Her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, continue to speak of her with reverence and pain. But her death is still an open wound. To this day, millions believe we don't know the full truth. That somewhere between the headlines and the reports, the real story was buried. And perhaps that was the point. The final question? So what really happened that night in Paris? Was it just a tragic car crash? A deadly mix of speed, chaos, and poor decisions? Or was it something more? A carefully orchestrated plan? A silencing? A cover-up? The truth may never fully come to light. But the questions remain. And they matter. Because the life of Princess Diana wasn't just about royalty. It was about humanity, compassion, and the courage to speak up, no matter the cost. And maybe that's exactly why she died. Thank you for watching. If this story made you think, if you believe the truth deserves to be heard, subscribe for more deep dives into unsolved mysteries and hidden history. We release new videos every week. And now, we want to hear from you. What do you believe? Was Princess Diana's death just a tragic accident? Or was it something darker? Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, stay curious, stay awake, and never stop asking questions.